Hello and welcome to today's Soflex lesson. Today we're talking about multiplication word problems, and we're just going to look at two word problems today, and they're pretty simple. I used some small numbers, and I did that intentionally just so you get the format down, because if you can multiply the easy numbers, you can multiply the bigger numbers, but you really need to understand the word problems. You have to see what they're saying. So I like to use pictures, I like to use acting out, I like to think about the problems. So let's look at the first one in blue. It says there were 7 baskets of laundry. Each basket had 4 shirts in them. How many shirts are there in all? So a couple of words here as we look through, and we don't always want to depend just on the words, but when you see in all, you know that we're counting things up. So it's like repeated addition, which is the same as multiplication. So in this case, many of you can just look at this problem real quickly and say, oh, this one's easy. I know that it's going to be 7 times 4. And that answer, of course, is 28. And with word problems, we always want to have the label. So in this case, it is. I want to make sure we have what it is, because we don't know if you just put 28, we don't know if it's 28 baskets, 28 shirts, 28 laundries. Doesn't make sense. So we need to make sure we have our label. So the answer here is 28. 7 baskets times 4 shirts each. Okay? But like I said, just to kind of make an easier example here, let's do a picture here. Now, do I want to draw 28 shirts? Probably not. But it would be easy enough just to draw some baskets. So we had 7 baskets. So 4, 5, 6, and 7. And instead of drawing 4 shirts in each, just label each 4, 4, 4 for each one. And just acting it out, you could just imagine picking it up. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and 28. So a nice simple picture, a nice acting it out. So we really just want to think about numbers and think about what's happening. Think about it as a reading skill, reading comprehension. What's really happening in this word problem? Because then if you get to a problem, which you'll probably see, which bigger numbers? So I mean, if you had 75 baskets with 24 shirts, it's no different. We're just going to do a multiplication problem, 74 times 24 or 78 times 24 or whatever it happens to be. Which is a good way to work backwards too. So if you did see a word problem with huge numbers, just put in numbers like 2 and 3, because that's easy to work with. And then you can figure out, okay, should I multiply it 2 times 3, or is it 2 plus 3? So just kind of simplify the numbers in the problem, and that'll help you kind of know what to do. All right, so let's look at our second problem in orange. If 14 players are on each basketball team, and there are 15 teams in the league, how many total players are in the basketball league? So once again, total players. So this time we have kind of some keywords of total. So we know that our answer is going to be bigger. If one team had 14 players, our answer has to get bigger. So in this case, the problem is going to be, 14 players times 15, and then we also want to have our label, which is going to be players. All right, now I'm not going to multiply 14 by 15 right now. That's not the point of this lesson. The lesson is to understand the words and understanding what to do. Okay, so let's think of the 4 operations. So 14 players and 15 teams to add, that makes no sense. Okay, subtracting 14 players, subtracting from 15 teams, no. We need to have the same layers of labels if we're adding or subtracting. So in this case, and even dividing wouldn't make sense. 14 divided by 15, you'd be having remainders of people. That also would not make sense. So you can kind of just think about it. If you don't like 14 and 15, once again, you could just make it really simple. So cross that out in your brain. There's 1 player, and there were 2 teams. Okay, in that case, how many players are there? Well, player 1 on team 1, player 1 on team 2. 1 plus 1 would be 2. Or 1 times 2. So in this case, we have 14 players times 15 teams, and then you'll get your answer. So I'm not going to multiply it out right now. But remember, when you have these, you decide. You could use the standard or the rhythm, the lattice, area, cluster. whichever way you want to solve it, even when it's word problems, you can solve it in any of those methods. So don't just always kind of forget about those, even though you've been practicing those and you've been getting them all right. When you get to a word problem, make sure that you're actually using those also. So don't just come back to the standard algorithm if you've been getting those ones wrong. So you could do 14 times 15 in any of the ways, the lattice way, area model, or the cluster method. So any of those would work. So to recap, just really read and act out or draw out the questions. Make sure you include labels, would be the second thing to remember. And then third, just simplify the numbers. That can help you make the question a little bit easier to understand, or the word problem. So leave any questions, and remember you have 5 questions on your assignment, and feel free to complete that and check your answers and see how you did. And if you get any wrong, once again, go back and try one of the different methods. And the nice thing about these 5 practice problems is you already know their multiplication word problem practice. So you don't just kind of pay attention to the way the questions are worded so that you can recognize a multiplication word problem in the future when might be mixed up with some other operations. Thanks for watching the Soflex Math lesson, and we'll see you in the next unit. Unit 3 is going to be division.